anymore. If it's not a
Nope.
vibe, it's not a vibe. And then you
If
say,
it's
no,
not a
I
vibe,
do.
it's not a vibe. I like that. I always say go with your gut instinct, but I actually like if it's not a vibe, it's not a vibe. Like don't go with it if it's going against your gut instinct. In this special guest interview with Jule, a Fiverr Pro seller in the email marketing category, we talk about being a seller, scaling Fiverr, difficult buyers, and freelance side hustles outside of Fiverr. Enjoy. All right, Jule, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited to have this chat with you because you have just taken Fiverr by storm. And like, I'm so excited to hear your story and how you've been able to do that. How did you get started? How did you get started with Fiverr, with email marketing? Like, give it all to me.
Thank you, first of all, for having me. It's a true honor to be on your podcast slash YouTube slash all the things Arbel. But back to your question initially about how I got started, was basically really by accident, if I'm completely honest, because
Yeah.
I was just kind of taking a break from my job and trying to figure out what my next steps are. And I have a direct selling business that I've had for like lots of years. And I was like, for that business, I do send emails to my clients and, prospects. And so why do I not start to teach, other direct marketers and or social sellers how to use email marketing to, connect with their people? That was the intent. And the only way I knew to do it was through Fiverr because my husband had told me about it a couple weeks earlier. And I was like, all right, so I'll just set up a gig. And I was like, all right. So I use Flowdesk, which is like a specific tool. And I love it because it's, very simple to use and easy to set up. And so that's what I started with. I'm like, I will help you send emails with Flowdesk. That was my gig description.
I didn't realize you started with Flowdesk. Yeah, I love Flowdesk.
Yes, yeah, I started with it and I just put it out there without any intentions of making this a career or to, whatever. It was just I wanted to just help people get started with email stuff. And then it was kind of like just sitting there. Nothing really happened until 3 months later, I got like one random order. Thank you again for the first person who trusted me with no reviews and like no real gig description whatsoever to, place an order to get an email marketing system set up. And that was randomly on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh my, what year was that?
I know. That
What
was
year?
2021. Yeah,
Okay.
2020. Yeah,
Wow.
so random order. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do next? Like, what do I do? How does Fiverr even work? Like, I was.
How do I even get started? How do I submit this? What was it? Was it a simple, like, just set up my template? What was the order? Do you remember?
No, and it was quite complex because the lady had issues with her email marketing tool. It was not Flowdesk, it was a different tool. I think she had like MailChimp or ConvertKit, something like that. And her workflows weren't working. And so I couldn't. So when I started to work with her on this and started the communication on the platform, like I needed to get access to her account. And I'm in email marketing, and so Fiverr's rules mentioning the word email, I was like getting freaked out because all I saw was just red text. You are not supposed to mention email. I'm like, but it's what I do.
But I need the email to get going. Like, Fiverr, listen up here. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Exactly. And so I was like writing my email address on a piece of paper and taking a photo and sending it to her because I was like, they cannot know that I gave you my email.
That's amazing that you even knew that. I feel like so many people don't even know that. They're just like, even though they get the prompt, they're like, but I need to do that, so I'm going to send it anyway.
And so, long story short, it took a while for me to even like start working on the project because of the two-factor authentication stuff. And like, I just didn't know how to communicate on the platform. Like, it was a whole disaster, the first order. It took a while for me to kind of, go through the process and like learn everything that, you need to just understand how buyers work, how communication works, how the order process works, and the whole thing. I was able to get it done eventually, and it worked out great. I had my first 5-star review with my first order, which was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yes. But my price was obviously, way too low for the amount of work that I did. But that's the learning curve, right? You kind of, you start, you do, you learn, and then you do better.
Exactly. And then you grow and grow and grow.
And then ever since, it has been like a real journey and career by now.
Right.
I started like initially after the first order was done, I was like, okay, let's see if more come in. And then I had a couple more come in, and I was like, all right, so that's just organic stuff, like people randomly finding me. And then I decided to hire someone on Fiverr to optimize my gig description, because I was just writing as I thought, whatever needed to be in there. And obviously not doing any keyword research, not really thinking, like I didn't even do competitive research. Like I didn't even go on Fiverr to look what other people did. I was just like tunnel vision. I'm like, I'm just going to go on there and put my thing, and that's what I'm going to do. And I don't care what anyone else is doing. And that was a good thing, because now, looking back, I would have probably not started it if I had just researched and looked at all the other people. I would have been like, there's too many people doing email marketing. They're like, way too price competitive and all the things. And so that was, a good thing in hindsight.
Yeah.
And so this guy optimized my gig description and the title. And then like literally from one day to the next, I still have the screenshot saved somewhere on my 10 or 20 a day to like 1,500, like literally. And that's how everything kind of started and progressed from there. Then I was like really getting interested in optimizing and looking at things with more intention, instead of just randomly, putting prices or packages together. And so that's how we then worked together.
Yeah, I remember when we first started working together, and you had told me about that optimization, and I didn't even know that people were offering that on Fiverr. Like I'm doing it on social media and all of that, but I didn't even think that it was a thing on Fiverr. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But he did a good job, and that's really what it's all about, is optimizing your gig to get seen more, to describe your services more. But I feel like when we first talked, that was like your biggest thing also, is that you were getting bombarded with messages, which is obviously, like we talked about, like a really good problem to have. But at some point it becomes, I hate to say annoying, but when you get contacted for things that you don't want to do, or they're way low budget, or they don't understand the exact service you're offering, it's a waste of time. Like I remember you were telling me that like it was just so many messages that you couldn't keep up. Like your response rate was going down, all of that, right?
Exactly. Yes, that was the downside to, that part of the improvement, because as much as it was optimized to just, the keyword email marketing, that can be really a lot of different things.
Right.
And so what I do is more, strategic. It's more like really custom. It's not so much, come to me, I'll put together an email for you and you send it out. It's more like, let's put together a strategy, and then we'll, work on email automation, and we'll, write sales copy and all those things. And that wasn't reflected in my gig description. And so I kept getting all kinds of inquiries. Yeah. And so, yes, it was a real challenge, because my reply rate went down to like almost like under 90%, which is
I think it was like 9 hours or something. Yeah, it was like so really crazy. I remember that.
It was really, I mean, and the funny thing is, I still got the requests. Like people were still messaging me, even though it took me to respond. Right. They were waiting. Yeah. So, and also I'm consulting when I sell, like, when I sell my services, people, for me, they aren't just ordering anything, any package that I have. Like that's maybe 2 times out of, the 2 years that I've been doing it, that people actually ordered what I have listed there. Right. Everything else every order is a custom offer for me. Right. And so it takes a lot of, time and energy and thought to consult people on what they need, because most of the time people come with an idea, but then they don't know what it is that they actually need. or want. And
Right.
that's just like my sales process there. And it was getting real hard to keep up with
Yeah.
stuff. And then we started looking at things together. And it was such a, like, first of all, I didn't know there were Fiverr coaches out there.
Yeah, no, and I
Yeah,
think a lot of
because
people think that Fiverr is just a one-way street, and it's just, either you're going to just constantly go up or you're going to do up and down, but really scaling Fiverr is evolving the platform to meet your business. And I think that's essentially what Fiverr turns into, like, you for yourself. It started out with just, I just want a couple of orders, to, wow, I'm really busy with orders and now I need to, like, maybe I don't want to work with some of these people. Maybe I don't want to deal with somebody who has so many issues with their email marketing to where it's going to take me double the work just to clean up the mess, versus working with somebody who knows what they have, they know what they want, and I can just go in and make those changes and optimize their email marketing funnel. So I think that's the, you're kind of at the, in my mind anyway, you're kind of at the full scale of Fiverr, where you're utilizing the platform to run your own business, to work with the customers you want to work with and at the price that you want to work with. And you've only been doing this now 2 years, right? Since 2021. So I feel like when you first start out on Fiverr, which is what I really help people get started on Fiverr, but my goal is really to get people to your level, where you've now maximized the platform to work for you. And I think that's the exciting part, as far as running your own business and having a platform that you don't have to do all of those other things of running a business, like contracts and dealing with deposits. And you're on the platform, you get paid, it's all taken care of. You have an issue, you do a cancellation, you can go through Fiverr support. Like, you have that support of Fiverr, which is really nice to take it to that next level for your business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. And it's like you said, just finding out on this journey on who is it that you want to work with and what's the price that makes you valued, feel, because that was the thing for me when I started. An email for me was like $35.
Right.
And I was like, that's, not enough. Not,
No.
not out of greed or anything, but really just, I have like more than 15 years of experience in the field. But, starting out on a platform like this, you just have to be price competitive in the beginning to get those first orders. But it was really interesting because I didn't intentionally do all of this. Like, I didn't set out to become a Fiverr freelancer, to just, I randomly kind of came into this process of, okay, now, so who is my ideal client and who do I want to work with and what's the type of work that brings me joy? Because when I have that, I do my best work for my clients, and that's when they come back, and that's when they refer me, and all of these things happened. And so that was a really important learning for me, aside from how to work the platform and how to optimize gigs, is like just understanding what I actually want to do, so that it can be reflected in the description, the packages, pricing, and all of the things.
And that's why I always say, like, with UGC, I mean, email marketing, UGC, we're in completely different realms, but we are dealing with customers who want to market. Like, at the end of the day, our customers are very similar, because they want to market their business either through email or through social media and through video marketing. But I feel like working with clients that you want to showcase their product, you want to basically be the face of their brand or be behind the scenes and helping them get further, is going to make it more enjoyable, and you're going to just create better quality work. So, like, for me, I always tell people, and myself, in your gig description, say the things that you're not going to do. What kind of work do you not want to get? Because yes, money is money, but if you're not enjoying the work that you're working on, it's going to be torturous money, and then at the end of the day, you're probably going to get either a bad review or you're going to get revisions, and it's just going to be more headache down the road. Have you dealt with a lot of customers like that, where you've had just like continual revisions?
Yes, I've had a couple. I have to say, revisions are actually at bay. Like, I can say that I usually like maybe one revision and then it's done, but usually it's even not one, which is exactly that I'm getting the type of customer that I want, because they are at a point where I can come in and, like, I don't need to explain from ground zero to them. Like they have a vision, they understand what they
Yes.
want and need, and I just come in to support, help them get there. And so that's what I want to do. But yes, I do have those clients once in a while, or wannabe clients. I say that because I also learned to say no.
Yeah.
That's, it's like, it's a mindset shift, because of course you
Yes.
want to take all the money you can get, but at what
Right.
price? Right. And so just this morning I had a customer who I have been messaging with for almost a month now, for a $500 job to clean up an email database. And it's just been going back and forth about, I define this as the scope of work. And then the customer comes back and is like, okay, but what about this? Can't we do it this way? I'm like, well, we keep reiterating the same thing,
no.
and we're just not on the same page. So I just withdrew the offer. I'm like, I think you're better off with a different professional, and I wish you all the best, keeping it friendly. But,
Right.
kind of, I'm like, if we're already having trouble coming to an agreement of what the scope is and
Huge
what the
red
price
flag.
is
Yeah.
for a month, and I invested so much time into this conversation already, then, I was like, and I was debating still, in my head this morning. I was in bed and I was like thinking, should I just, do it? And I was like, no, Jule, you don't do this work anymore. If it's not a vibe, it's not a vibe. And then you say,
if it's
no,
not a
I
vibe,
do.
it's not a vibe. I like that. I always say, go with your gut instinct, but I actually like, if it's not a vibe, it's not a vibe. Like, don't go with it if it's going against your gut instinct. So I know you recently became Fiverr Pro, and I want to talk to you about that, because that is like, when you sent me that message that you went to Fiverr Pro, I think I was at Publix. I remember I was at Publix and I was getting a sub. And I like check my phone, because I'm constantly on my phone. And I check my phone and you're like, I got Fiverr Pro. And I literally just like dropped the sub in the basket. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I was just so, I was like, this is unbelievable. I really want to talk about like what happened, obviously with my tips and all of that. But I want to know from your perspective, like, what happened when you went from getting all those messages, we fixed your intro video, you came up with that, like I said, your kick-ass intro video, like you did that and it looked so good and it was really descriptive as to what you offer. What did that like look like when you created that intro video that talked to clients about what you offer, that it then like moved to getting Fiverr Pro verified without even you applying? Like, it was just mind-blowing. Tell me how that was. What happened?
But yes, the intro video really, really helped, because I was doing a lot of, selling and explaining in my messages, and I had like, tired thumb syndrome. I was like, all right, here we go.
Oh, there we go. Another one. Another same message over and over again. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, to an extent, I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to figure something out. And then you came up with the idea of having the intro video to really explain more what I do, and it really helped for people to see my face. Like, I got messages from people saying, hey, I watched your video and I really connected with you, and your services sound exactly like what I need. Can you send me a custom offer for, and then they give me their specifics, and then it's much easier for me that way too. I don't have to spend 30 minutes to come up with a custom offer and price everything new all the time.
Right.
And so that was like, I think the biggest game changer was that intro video, aside from, how the packages were structured, because before I was kind of like just randomly thinking about what could people possibly want to buy from me. And, it was a mix of all kinds of things. And then we were saying, well, if I spend time with people on Zoom, because I do Zoom consultations for more complex projects, then that time should really be compensated for, because it's not just, them telling me about their project, but it's also me giving input and insights and, strategy recommendations. And so that was like the first thing that I get really excited about too, was like having this consultation package, which, some people actually, that's the only one that people will book without consulting me first, is they just book it. And that has been really helpful. And then also just, from a pricing perspective with Fiverr Pro, but it was definitely helpful to to show people that, yes, if you want to talk to me, it costs money, and it's not
Yeah.
just $20, it's $120. And I think I even upped it now to $185, and people still book it.
Wow, that's awesome. And I remember when I was doing your market research, when I was like auditing your profile in the gig, and I was looking at other email marketers, and I was looking at people at your level, because you were already like at an experienced pro type of level where you've had reviews, you've dealt with all of the run of the mill buyers and all of that. And I was looking at your competition, and they were all charging that first basic package for a consultation. So getting that fee for a service like yours is, I mean, that's just chatting with somebody and getting paid for it. Like, that's such a win, you know what I mean, as a seller. And then it, again, allowing you to verify if you even want to work with them at the end of the day. So that was really exciting to see, like, what other sellers at your level were doing. And that's why I always stress the market research. But I feel like what you said, as far as when you first started not doing the market research, that was really interesting, because I always tell people to do that market research to figure out where to price yourself. But there is the, flip side to that coin, where if you go in blindly and you just put yourself cheap because you're just open to any work, it does also allow you to grow a lot faster than if you were to do that research and then put it at the price that you really want. It may take a little bit longer to get that first order. But you said you got that first order within 3 months when you first started. Yeah. So that's not bad. That's pretty good. But that was 2 years ago now. I feel like things are completely different. Have you noticed a huge change to the platform? They are updating all the time.
They are updating all the time. I like the way, or the direction it's going in, I have to say, because it used to have a very, and I don't want to be, talked down on, certain countries, because there is this diverse nature of the platform that just has, sellers from all over the world, which is amazing that you can get talent from everywhere. But it also reflects their cost of living, right? So living in the US is a different thing than living in, countries like maybe India or Bangladesh or, Sri Lanka or so. And so their prices are logically much lower than ours. And that I think, is, sometimes to them, I feel unfair to an extent, because I know that there are buyers out there who select people based on location. And then, they tend to be a little bit on the less expensive side if they're not in the US. And so it's like this double-sided sword type of a thing. And I feel like that's taken away a little bit more with the improvements that they're making, that it becomes a more equal platform, because they're more looking for quality. And I think that's also how that new pro verification process maybe came in place, to just allow people who, in their country, like if someone has a $250 price tag on a consultation or a package for email marketing and has Bangladesh sitting next to their name, people aren't going to buy it, right? And so if they're leveling the play field more and making the location less important, so that people, regardless of where they live, with great talent, can still, play on the same level, I think that's great. And so I just love that they're also targeting more businesses and professionals than like the, DIYers that just need a little support on the side and, have like $5 budgets for work that's like 10 hours.
I agree. I definitely feel like the clientele that's coming on and contacting me are definitely more bigger businesses, agencies, like really big brands that are coming on the platform. I mean, I've worked with now Paw Patrol, I've worked with, Nickelodeon, things like that through Fiverr. So they're definitely attracting those bigger brands. And I agree with you. I think it's a nice, cleaner look. The quick responses, they're giving a lot more benefits and tools to sellers, which I feel like they never did, like with the Fiverr Seller Plus program and like all of that.
Yes, and I think also, customer service, or like not just maybe customer service, that's the wrong term. I would say the experience that people get. That's, the important part that will set you apart, even though when you first start and maybe you put yourself out there with a low price, I
Right.
feel like if you start the conversation like you were charging $200, but you just charge 20 because you're starting, but you make it a $200 experience, people will
Right.
notice that, and people that will
Yes.
get into people's head, and they will come back for this, right? And then as you get more orders, you can gradually increase your prices. At least that's what I have done, not following your strategies. Honestly, in the beginning, I was like, today I feel like charging $10 more, so let me go in and change it to 10. So I didn't wait, for a specific time frame, or until like 30 days are over, or until I had like a certain number of reviews or any of that. Like I was just, that's just me, and you might advise differently, but to me personally, I was like, I feel today my work, I have the confidence. I think it's a confidence thing.
Right.
Today I have the confidence that my work is worth amount X, and then I need to go in and charge this amount X, because tomorrow my confidence level might be somewhere else, and I might not put that price out there, but once it's done, and then I no longer think about it. I just have to remember next time
Right.
someone asks to not give them the old price, but
Right. This is the new price. Okay. So it's not just my strategy. Actually, I don't know if I told you this, but I did get confirmation from my Fiverr success manager that he did tell me, because I said to him when we first signed up, and we'll talk about Fiverr Seller Plus in a minute, because you're the one who convinced me to get it. But it's an invite only program for those that are watching that aren't familiar with it. It's an invite only program to sellers, and it gives a lot of different benefits and exclusive information to buyers that you wouldn't have if you weren't a Fiverr Seller Plus member. So I had the success manager meeting, and I said, listen, I need to know, in 2021, when I changed the price of my voiceover gig 2 times and I got deranked, why did that happen? Like, my theory was I edited too often, right? That was my theory. That's what I thought. And he goes, oh yeah, we don't want you to edit your gig for 4 to 6 weeks after you make an edit. And I was like, I knew it. I did it. So he told me the algorithm does not want you to do that. It will penalize you because it needs time to rank you based on those edits. And so I was deranked in January. My gig has barely recovered. And this is going on over a year. And it's barely recovered from that deranking, just because I changed my prices within 2 times within the same month. But that's like literally that was the catalyst for me to start talking about Fiverr on social media, because that shouldn't have happened. That was like a major pitfall, that should have been known. And I would never talk bad about Fiverr, but at the end of the day, I'm a person, and it affected my income. It really affected my income. And I feel like that's something that should have been more aware to sellers. And that's why I'm so excited to see Fiverr really trying to help sellers out, because I was in like deep trouble for a couple of months after that deranking, and that shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So just a little warning for you. But do you feel like, okay, so let's kind of switch gears. We talked a lot about Fiverr. You're doing amazing. Like, obviously, we didn't really talk about income, but you're obviously making more than you ever have on Fiverr right now. So that's amazing. Fiverr Pro has been great for you. Tell me what your plans are for email marketing. Where are you taking it from here? I know that we've kind of talked on the sidelines about, doing social media and things for your business. So like, tell me, what are your plans with email marketing and beyond?
Yes. So as we all know, diversification is key, because, as great as Fiverr is as a platform and to, maybe get you started on this journey, it's also very risky to, put all your eggs in one basket, like you just explained with how you got deranked. And it's, if it's your main source of income, then you better have a plan B in place. And honestly, like I didn't really consider this for the longest time, or not really consider, like it was in the back of my head somewhere, but it was not, nothing happened, and everything was good, still is.
Yep.
Knock on everything that's around me. Exactly. But I do fear always, like that's always like this constant fear in my head of like, what if like something happens to the gig and like I don't get orders or I don't get messages. By the way, just a little side note, that's another thing to get used to. Like there are ups and get ebbs and flows in
Yes.
Fiverr with, messages coming in and, orders coming in. And so, especially if it's your sole source of income, you
Yeah.
get nervous when you don't get
Yes.
the number of messages or, frequency of orders coming in that you're used to. I found that just, deep breathings and just, not focusing too much on the present, but looking to the future really helps.
Yes. Yeah. It
One's
will come
currently
back. Yep.
in that it will come back. It's just you have to sit it out sometimes, and that's where the diversification comes into play, right? And you are a prime example of that, and you inspired me in that sense, where I felt like, well, Arbel has all of these, she has an online course and she has her Facebook group and she does, all of these things on the side that help her compensate for, potential loss of income from Fiverr if
Right.
something happened. And so, me being an overthinker for stuff, I mean, I do react very, from intent and not in what's the word? Intuition. That was the word.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I do things more intuitively, but then when I start wanting to do it, then I overthink stuff. All right. And what do I do?
We all have that, girl. We all have that. It is the curse, I think, of human nature. It's just that self-doubt, that worry, worry. I feel like that's something that we all face, but we don't acknowledge it until we acknowledge it, kind of thing. And one of the things that, my mom just passed, and not that I want to bring this to a sad conversation, but one of the things that I started to feel and realize why my hair is turning gray is the worry, the constant worry about, is she going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? But what if it doesn't work? And it's all stemming from worrying. And when we feel like we can let go of the worry, all of a sudden it's freeing. And not that anything, my mom being gone is literally the worst thing in the world, but having that worry be gone, now that I know what that feeling is and what it isn't, is something that you can't even describe until you let it go. You just let go of the worry and just go forward and just put your head down, get it done, and you're so much more accomplished. But anyway, so go ahead. Sorry, I just had to say, because I just came to this epiphany recently about the worrying, of constantly worrying if things are going to work out the way that I had imagined in my head. So it's a scary
and that's
thing.
the thing.
Yes.
And that's the thing. We always imagine so many things, in business, it's the same, business is life is business. Like it's all intertwined.
Yes.
And so definitely something that I think everyone goes through, more or less intense here and there, also ebbs and flows.
Yes. Ebbs and flows for everything. Yeah.
Yes, but so I decided to create a platform for new entrepreneurs who are new in online business, like not just, not specifically for freelancers on Fiverr or anything, but just like anyone who's starting a new business, an online business specifically, who just wants to be encouraged and inspired. And, email marketing is part of that, obviously, because I myself have like major social media burnout. I know we've talked about this. Yeah. I am struggling to get back on track. I was doing it hard for like 4 years, 24/7. And then from one day to the next, I was like, I cannot touch it. I can't and for 1.5 years, I have maybe posted 3 things on Instagram, and I don't enjoy it. It's not, I don't want to have anything to do with it. It kind of sucks the life out of me. And I feel like that is not just me. There's a lot of people who feel the same. And email marketing is really a thing where you can still have an online business. Yes, you may still need to do some social media, but not to the extent that it's been advertised. And so email marketing to me is the solution for that. There's, obviously still, ways you have to create content and put it out there on a blog or, whatever. But distributing this via email rather than on social media is a way that I think, is just kind of like getting people a little bit more freedom and presence back in their lives. And that's what I want to focus on for my side gig.
Nice.
Next to build memberships and online courses to help educate and just help other people help themselves to become an entrepreneur and an online business owner. And that's where I'm headed. So
that's awesome. And I wish you all the luck. I wish you all the luck, because I don't think that, and I 100% agree with you, when my gig was deranked last year, I really was like, how did I let this happen? How did I solely rely on Fiverr? And it becomes a very, you're complacent, you're content, you're getting orders, you're getting business, like you have freedom to do other things and this and that. But then when things like that do happen, you're like, okay, I need to like reevaluate what's going on. Fiverr is still my main source of income. That's like my full-time job. That's my job. And then I have side gigs, I have side gigs. And I feel like we're in an economy now where we have to do that. We have to have multiple streams of income. There are so many possibilities and opportunities to make money online these days than ever before. And if we just know how to capitalize it and make it work for us, then we're good. But in this economy, the way that things are going with now the war, I mean, there's so many things happening with the recession and everything. You need to diversify your income, like you said. So,
and even for anyone who is employed still, like I feel it's the same thing. I mean, companies will let go of you from one day to the next. Like you blink twice and it could happen any day.
Yep.
And so that's also something that like I never thought about. And I'm so glad I do now. But it's like just the security blanket. You always get your paycheck. You just go to work, you come home and you get it. And you never really think of the worst case scenario, which we don't want to always think about the negative things, but you have to account for it and kind of manage the risk, in business terms, I guess.
Yes, definitely. I feel like with what you're wanting to do and what you mentioned about Instagram and that you don't want your life in there and all of that. And that's actually the struggle I faced, because I wanted to be a content creator. I wanted to give people this information, but I didn't want to, give away my whole life. Like it felt very wrong to me. And so I had to find a way. I've now been a content creator since April. I remember because I created Freelance Big Sis brand new on April 27th, 2022. So I've now been a content creator for a year and a half. And this whole year and a half has been a complete discovery journey as to who do I want to show up as? What do I feel comfortable showing up as? And how can I make money from this job? Because it is a job. It's a lot of work. It is not easy to post a video every single day with intention, with a message that is clear and concise. It is a lot of work. And I feel like once you find out what you want to portray, who you want to portray as yourself, and find a way to make an income, then it starts to turn into something else. But the only way I knew how to do all of that was by just doing it.
Yeah.
And spending
as always.
Yes.
That's so true. Just doing it. Just like, I started with Fiverr. I just did without thinking. And then something came out of it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to remember now, to just, do it, because me now, having a business set up where I can make certain investments, on a small scale, but I can make investments into, certain things of like, maybe I could do like a course platform and I could, make it all pretty. And I'm like, yeah, you could, but you also could just host it on YouTube and send a link in an email, for the course. So it's like, that overthinking part comes into play again, where it's like, the concepts keeping me away from actually doing it. And I know that by doing, the concept will just come and evolve and develop on its own. And it's so funny that we know all these things, but it's like the knowing doing gap, right? Like we know, but we don't do.
Yes. I struggled with it for a long time until I decided I like giving away free information, like you just said. And it's actually an idea that you gave me when we first started, which was give a 5-day training for free via email and just every day send out a video. And I was like, wow, it's a really good idea. And I thought on it for so long. And I was like, how could I make this work? Like, I get opens, but like for me, we need to revisit my email marketing, excuse me, but I'm still getting over this cold. So I apologize for coughing so much. But figuring out that I could put it inside a Facebook group and gather people for a free training that I love giving free information, gathering those people in there, giving them community, giving them the information, and then saying, hey, by the way, if you want to continue, because this group's going to end, here's my course. I feel more, I can sleep at night knowing that I'm giving you value. Like, you don't need to buy my course. You could actually take this information, create the gig, and get going. But if you want to continue with me and have my support, go ahead and get my course. And it has now, that is my groove. Like, I enjoy it so much. I like can't sleep at night. I'm so excited. The group is so active. And I'm just like, this is it for me. This is what works. But for Abigail, for instance, who is just a phenomenal coach and educator and just making so much money with content creation, her groove is Instagram stories. She barely posts on Reels or TikTok. She has followers, but her Instagram stories is her groove. So I feel like finding your groove, whether that be Facebook group, whether that be, TikTok only or TikTok live only. I've seen creators that they post videos that don't get a lot of views, but then when they go live, they have thousands of views and they're just giving tutorials, or they're just, you know what I mean? So everybody, I think that is the biggest thing with content creation and starting a new side hustle with online income, is finding what works for you and what makes you feel good, but then can also generate sales. So
bring the joy into the work. And it's true. Like, whatever brings you joy will work. That's the thing. And that's what I kind of reiterate myself every time I have an idea. I'm like, is this going to be fun? If it's fun, I'm going to do it. If I have to drag myself to the desk and open the computer and hammer stuff in there that I don't want to do, but someone tells me I have to do it, then it's not going to work for me. And that's just, I think that's a really good, kind of summary to all the things of like, for regardless if you're on Fiverr, do the things you are skilled at, that you love doing, that you have fun doing, because it'll reflect in the work and the quality, and people will see that and come back and pay for it. And same for anything you're deciding to do, on the side. Just have fun. That's have fun.
Yeah, even if you're creating different gigs. Yes, life is too short to not have fun. Absolutely. So where do you feel? So you feel like you're doing really well with Fiverr. You're getting started on this side hustle. We definitely need to chat more about that and get things going together, because I feel like we have so many complementary skills that we could really like make something happen, because there's plenty of opportunity, and email is my biggest struggle in this whole world. I like write an email and all of a sudden I'm like, what do I write? I don't know. What are people going to want to read? I go through that whole thing in my head. Like, but what if people don't open it? And what if I make no sense? And so I feel like we have those complementary skills that obviously are very needed. People need email. They need, UGC, they need Fiverr, they need side hustle, all that stuff. What do you feel like? Are you going to pause your gigs for the holidays?
No, I decided to never pause gigs. I will respond. I will let people know it's the holidays. I spend time with family. I'll set some hours for myself as to when I'm going to be available and when I'm not. And I'll let people know. But it just has proven to be working for me. That worked for me when I was on summer vacation in Germany with my family for like 7 weeks. And I could
that
make
was
that
amazing
happen.
You could work.
Yes, I was able to make that happen because of Fiverr and because it's remote and I can set my own hours, and it worked for me. I didn't have to pause my gigs. I still got work in. I wasn't overworked. I was able to spend quality time with my people. And so I think I'm just going to use the same approach. And because, Black Friday and holidays coming up, people always are, I still need to send an email. I'm like, I know, I had a feeling.
I had a feeling you'd be coming back for this holiday.
Yeah. So awesome. I want to make sure that I can still help people to get, their messages out, but obviously limited amount of time allotted for that.
Yes. Yeah. I'll probably be doing the same thing. I'll keep my gigs open and then just, close out the app, close out the website so that if I can't answer, my response rate's not going to be affected. But I am thinking about, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a Christmas tree this year, but I think we are. And I'm going to create a new gig for a holiday UGC. And that's something that you could do as well, as holiday campaigns for email. That's
I was
another
thinking,
gig idea.
Yeah, right. Because I was thinking about the holidays, and I was thinking about adding a package, but I was like, it's only 3 packages. I cannot, and people don't look at the packages for me. They watch me right away. They never look at it. So I was like, maybe the holiday gig would be, that's a good idea.
Maybe
good
in the gig
brainstorming session on the podcast.
I know, right? That you offer like a holiday package or something. I don't know. But yeah, there's plenty of opportunities. And also, if somebody were to just want to focus on Fiverr and not do a side hustle like we talked about, just creating those gigs in other subcategories like writing or Canva design or anything else that you could do, but like we talked about, that you would enjoy doing so that the quality shines through. Because we don't want to set up a gig that we hate doing. That would not be good. All right, Jule, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking with you. And I can't wait to see what happens next year when your gig goes even more in your account and all of your social media starts picking up.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.